Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Melissa Pineda, and today I will be reviewing the book Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. This book was published in 2018, and Hardy is a psychologist, an author, and foster parent of 3. I was initially curious when I was reading this book because it's very similar, in my opinion, to James Clear's Atomic Habits. I also review this book on my channel. It's an excellent read, and I was wondering which author influenced who in this context, because they're so similar, but they're both published in 2018. So it seems like these authors were just onto the same thing and onto something, and something good, in my opinion. So why should you read this book? Well, Benjamin Hardy provides some pretty convincing evidence as to why our willpower isn't enough in terms of either stopping bad behavior or accomplishing goals that we have set for ourselves. Things that we would initially think that, okay, we can do on our own. We just need to have, stronger will. We've got this. But he's saying you don't, and you can't. And willpower is not enough. But he doesn't just leave you there. He provides information and some tools and tips as to how you can make the changes you want to make, how you can accomplish the goals that you have, how to go about doing this. Similarly to James Clear in Atomic Habits, Hardy talks about the importance of your environment. He talks about having to create and control your environment instead of relying on your willpower. So it's all about environmental design, he says, and our environment shapes us. If you want to change, you have to change your environment. So Hardy claims that people adapt to anything. So create the environment you want and you will adapt. If you want to eat healthy, get rid of all the junk food in your house, for instance. Replace all the food with healthy options. He talks about positive stress, that being eustress, EUSTRESS. This is something that Timothy Ferriss also talks about in his book 4-Hour Workweek, which I have also reviewed already. And eustress is a good kind of stress. So EU is a Greek prefix for good. And this is the kind of stress, for instance, that you would experience while giving a public speech or undergoing an athletic event. It's good stress for your body versus some stress that's very harmful for you. He talks about journaling and gratitude. He is a big fan of journaling. So he says that you should get yourself in a peak state. You need a morning routine, and this is done best first thing in the morning. Write down your plans, your dreams, your goals every morning. He says that you should do this as soon as you get up because the first 3 hours of your day are the most productive ones. So the first 3 hours of your day are the most important in terms of your ability to really maximize your productivity. So this is the window of where we are really, really focused. Hardy says it's immediately following sleep. So you should begin journaling as soon as you get up. That's what he suggests. He also says the less you have, the more you have. The less you own, the more you have. So get rid of the stuff you don't actually use or need. A lot of the authors that talk about just improving your life, improving your habits, achieving your goals, they talk about this stuff. They also reference, as Hardy does, Marie Kondo. So the idea of holding your belongings in your hand, so a sweater or something, a mug that you have in your house, and if it sparks joy, keep it. If it doesn't, get rid of it. So this is something that Hardy talks about as well. He says that too many options lead to indecision. You should create constraints because constraints create freedom. So he talks about the unneeded suffering and distractions that go along with having too many options. So the fewer choices you need to make, the more powerful your decisions will be. You should eliminate all potential options that serve as a distraction. He also tells you to let go of the fear of missing out. If it takes less than 2 minutes, Hardy says, do it now. Do the communication that you can get done in 2 minutes or less, whether it be email, whether it's writing something down, an idea you have. He says communicate and get it out of your head now. Elimination is the fastest path to progress, Hardy claims. He also says that you should disrupt your environment if you want to stop addictive or compulsive behavior. He references soldiers that fought in Vietnam, so American soldiers that had a heroin addiction, and they were treated for their heroin addiction in Vietnam, and then they came back to the United States, and apparently it was this like big deal. People couldn't believe like how these soldiers, or the majority of them, didn't relapse. And the argument was made by doctors at that time that their environment changed. So they didn't relapse when they got home because the conditions that led to the heroin addiction weren't present anymore. So essentially their environment was disrupted. Hardy talks about like a perfect example being like smokers entering a building on the opposite side they usually enter, that being the entrance where the smokers usually take their smoke break. So if the smoker enters from another entrance where people aren't taking a smoke break, that would disrupt their environment, and that would lead to behavior change. Hardy also suggests taking a technology fast once a week for a whole day though. The technology fast is so that you can ground yourself, you can reset, you can rest, recover, and reconnect with your loved ones. So Hardy is a big fan of taking that technology fast once a week for a whole day. Hardy says that the opposite of addiction is connection. So you have to have a person or people that you can trust and confide in. You can't do it on your own, he's saying, especially when it comes to addictions. He talks a lot about addictions in this book and the need to have a support group. He says that with addictions, often when the craving comes, if you distract yourself, the feeling and craving will subside. But this obviously depends on like the addiction and whether or not you've gotten help initially. But he does talk about some different tricks and tips for people that have struggled with addictions, and even when they are quote unquote recovered, temptation can still rise and cravings can rise, and he's giving suggestions on what to do in this case. Hardy talks about bringing others into your goals and letting them hold you accountable. So he talks about a public declaration, for instance. A lot of authors talk about this. Basically, if you want to make a huge change, or if you want to, for instance, run a marathon, make a public announcement. Tell people that you really respect, and they'll hold you accountable because you won't want to let them down. You won't want to lose face. So, if you really want to do something, then make it public. He talks about how it's only in going through difficult and challenging experiences that we evolve. So he says that our culture is all about the feel good all the time. And this is so true, especially in the present day. It's all about doing what feels good now. Don't go through pain. And if you feel pain, then, maybe medicate yourself. And he's saying that this is not normal, healthy, or desirable in the long term. If you medicate and mask your emotions, you do yourself a disservice in the long term, and you will never grow. Hardy says that if you change your environment, you're forced to change yourself. Change your environment and external world, he says, every time you want to upgrade yourself. And he encourages us to never stop evolving or trying to become the best version of ourselves. So I thought this book was excellent. Hardy provides a lot of information, a lot of just good tips and suggestions on how to make the changes we want in our lives, how to achieve goals. So if there's anything that I've said that you found interesting, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and also pick yourself up a copy of this book. I found it very helpful. You might as well. And if you have any comments, any books you'd like me to review, please let me know. And until next time.